Hello and welcome to the Riverfront Reds Show, where we will spend the next hour discussing the Paycor Stadium lease renewal.
What?
With Skylar Wuebker, I am Seth Shaner, and that's another show, but definitely happy the Bengals will be staying in town. But Skylar, we've got some Reds to talk about. We've got some news to talk about, some footnotes to the big Yankees series that happened this week. I'm going to ask you real quick, though, and I don't know if the listeners or viewers care so much about this sort of thing. Some of the podcasts I listen to, sometimes they get a little personal. You have a little discussion, and let people in, look through the window into our lives just a little bit. Maybe they'll allow us to do that for just a moment. I had a real bad moment this week, Skylar.
Oh, yeah?
I'm a reader. I like to read. I've been in a bit of a stretch of just reading fiction, novels, nothing too serious, stuff you get off the, beach reading, I guess I get, poolside reading, nothing too heavy.
Sure.
But I've been reading a lot lately. Joined the book club at the library with my youngest son so we can keep up together and read. And I use a Kindle, one of those Paperwhite Kindles.
Yeah.
Middle of the road, decent Kindle, 3 years old. And first world problem, we have a cleaning lady, actually two that come in. And Monday, I don't know if you've gotten to the point where you've hired someone to clean your house yet, Skylar, but a little known fact among people that do get to that point is what you end up having to do is clean up so that the cleaning people can come.
Prepping, yeah. You don't
now
want
it's more of a pickup, right? It's more of a pickup. Like when I was a kid, I had to pick up my room. I wasn't cleaning my room. I didn't vacuum my room. So it's more of a tidying up, yes. And so that they can clean the surfaces and the carpets and the floors and stuff like that without all the kids' stuff everywhere. In my attempt to pick up before the cleaning ladies came, I believe I've determined after 3 days of searching, my Kindle ended up in a little recycle box that we keep up in our master bathroom for toilet paper and tissue boxes, things such as that.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I brought it downstairs, and I believe I threw it in the recycle bin.
No.
And trash day was the next day.
Oh, no.
So I think the Kindle's gone.
I think you're not supposed to put those in landfills or batteries into garbage trucks.
Well, now that's a problem. But also the recycle people go through that stuff. I did call the place, not that I really want it back after it's been in that truck, but I said, hey, is there a chance? I know you sort the recyclables allegedly. We're supposed to believe that they do. Is there a chance maybe someone found the Kindle and, but no, there's no chance. There's no chance whatsoever. Because I don't even know if I don't have complete faith that they actually do recycle. I think it's just to make me feel better about myself for all the plastic bottles I use. But
yeah.
No, so the Kindle's gone. And that's been my week.
I have a young child, so the only things I'm reading are like kids' books.
Well, you can do that on the Kindle too. All right, enough about me. How about those Red Legs? The Red Legs doing great so far in the month of June. I will say Joel Luckup was on here back in May, and we talked about a players-only meeting that we thought was having a good effect. But according to Charlie Goldsmith, who had an extremely well-sourced article on his Substack about a June 6th players-only meeting when the Reds were 30-33, going into the Wednesday game, they were 12-5 after that meeting. And certainly we've known for a while that some of these guys are leaders. Trevino, Espinal, these guys are leaders. And it sounds to me like they got the job done with this meeting, Skylar.
Yeah, it's interesting that they got two guys that they pointed out the most that led that players meeting.
Gavin Lux, too. Yeah,
yes, Lux and Trevino.
Not Espinal.
Two guys that came from winning organizations, have made it the distance to at least a World Series appearance in Trevino's case, or winning it all in Gavin Lux's case. So it's two guys that really know what it takes and know what it takes to win. And pairing that with Tito, I think that really helped set these guys off on the right path. And we're seeing the benefits of this. Is why you get not, I want to say veteran guys, because I mean these guys aren't that old, but guys that have that experience.
Mm-hmm. Well, years from now, if this works even longer than just 17 games, we'll remember that meeting And we won't remember the one Joel and I talked about in May because it didn't really have much of an effect. They treaded water for the next month. But the fact is, if you think like the Bengals back in 2021, around in that era, they were drafting all those captains on winning college programs and things like that. They valued that, and because they ended up in the Super Bowl, we all talked about it. Now, if they didn't make any playoff run at all in the 2 years that they had their playoff runs, I doubt we would have cared so much that Logan Wilson was a captain, right, on a winning Wyoming team. But no, it's the same thing here. Gavin Lux and Trevino definitely come from winners, and they played against each other in the World Series just last year. So, no, I think it's a big deal, and I think guys like Tyler Stevenson really picked up on it, right? And he's taken the ball and run with it as well. So it's kind of like I feel bad for Jonathan India a couple years ago, who basically had to be the captain because Votto was still recovering from a shoulder surgery, and all these young guys are coming one at a time up from the minors, and it's thrust upon a guy that's in his third year in the league, who hasn't really won anything. But now you've got these guys who have been on winners. Trevino's won a platinum glove, and Gavin Lux obviously won a World Series or two. Definitely a good deal, which takes us to our next thought about veteran baseball players. Jeimer Candelario was designated for assignment earlier this week. The Reds are eating nearly $22 million in contract, which is actually more than what they ate of Mike Moustakas' deal because they kept Moustakas on even longer. Candelario is a Red, batted .207, a .265 on base, and 134 games with 22 total home runs. He got hot there at the end of last year a little bit, almost very forgettable because it was actually during the time of year when they didn't play well at all. I guess let's talk a little bit about whether it's a good move. Is it the right move? What are your thoughts?
I think it's the right move. I think he wasn't really doing anything for you in the lineup. You could tell there was kind of frustration building around the whole situation. And let's be honest, if you're leaving him in the lineup from day to day, you're taking at bats from somebody that we have a little more faith in, like a CES, like a Spencer Steer, like a Gavin Lux, who's been in that DH rotation. I think you're taking away at bats. You're doing the rest of the team a disservice just to keep them on because of the money. I think the Reds front office is smart. This is not something that they ever do. I mean, they cut bait with Mike Moustakas, and we were all in shock and awe that they had the gumption to do that, to throw away the cash. Particularly a team that likes to hold on to that cash. I mean, cash consideration is their favorite player. But it feels good as a fan that they are willing to make these hard moves, make these tough decisions in the betterment of this team.
Yeah, to me, I guess it shows, though, how upside down they are with the number of infielders they have versus capable outfielders, because good friend Chris Garber, friend of the show here, he correctly pointed out on Twitter that you're DFAing this guy who's done it before in the big leagues while you're still giving, and I know they aren't anymore, but no Hampson at bats because he's been DFA'd as well. But you've had Hampson, you've had Connor Joe still on the team, some of the guys earlier in the year that made the team, and maybe, you just couldn't see them being a big league player. I tend to agree with you, Skylar, but I guess if I had more faith in Spencer Steer and Gavin Lux being corner outfielders, maybe I wouldn't, because you got to pay the guy anyway. You're paying the guy whether he's on the team or not, right? So I don't know. I think it's the right move. I think I agree with you, but I think if they had, if the roster wasn't so infield heavy, I think maybe I'd disagree, because I don't know. Connor Joe's he's given good at bats lately, but he's not really giving me much of the good feelings that I don't know. Jeimer Candelario gave somebody good feelings when he was with Washington or Detroit or Chicago, at least at once upon a time. Not for the Reds, not at all. And other news,
I mean,
go ahead.
The money part, I agree. Like, you're paying him no matter what, but it's the roster spot.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have anybody else on there. I mean, it's a black hole of a spot if you have Jeimer Candelario on there. And it's the at-bats. I mean, you can have him on the team and just have him ride the bench the whole time, but who are you benefiting? You're not benefiting him. He's not going to be able to go try and get another contract or try to improve himself at all. And you're not helping any young guy develop if they can't make it to the roster because you have Jamer Candelario sitting on it.
There should be a college class like at Xavier or UC or somewhere on studying Tito Francona's press conferences and taking away from them what you can and reading between the lines. And you don't have to read too far between the lines in the quote about Candelario and how he didn't handle being benched very well.
Yes.
And that reminded me of Nomar Garcia-Parra in the 2004 Red Sox documentary, where Tito's as fair as he can be. He will take you behind closed doors and tell you up front what's going to happen and what is happening because you are struggling. I'm new here. You're not my guy. Alexis Diaz was not Tito's guy. Jamer Candelario, he's not Tito's guy. And when he probably went and talked to the front office about what to do about Candelario, the end of his quote to the media was probably the first quote he gave. He did not take well being benched. He wasn't being a team player. We can't win with him. We need to get rid of him. And I'm reading between the lines and saying that's what he said. And I have to agree. That's where I do agree.
I also have to agree with that. I mean, you can't have a locker room cancer in there, especially with all of these young guys who are soaking up every moment that they can. You can't have somebody in there with bad vibes or bad energy about any type of situation.
Mm-hmm. Another veteran, Wade Miley. Now his injury did precipitate the need for Chase Burns to make his debut. We'll be talking about that here in a few moments. Wade came off the field after probably his best start. And within a few days of that, it was determined that things weren't going well with the arm. And I guess you and I have seen different things because in our show notes kind of going back and forth, I thought he found out that he didn't have to have the really bad injection in the elbow, and that's why he's willing to rehab it and try to come back. Did you read or hear that he is getting an injection?
Yeah, I thought it was the other way. I thought he was getting the injection to prevent surgery and rehab and so on and so forth.
Okay. Well, regardless of how we interpreted it or how we heard it, right or wrong, I think it's valuable that he's not just going to pack up and go home. He's there. I mean, I guess the night before Chase Burns started, he was in the dugout with Chase Burns the whole night talking. And
good.
I mean, there's been a lot of veterans who have helped younger players in this type of spot. I remember the 99 Reds, like guys like Pete Harnish really helped Scott Williamson and Danny Graves and people like that. Stan Belinda, not as effective on that team, but he took Scott Williamson completely under his wing, and two Southern guys that like to play backgammon of all games, and they would talk all throughout the season. Wade Miley will be more valuable, I think, between now and whenever he gets back on the mound than he probably will be on the mound.
Oh, I agree. Look at who's on their roster on the pitching side. Wade Miley's probably got more experience than half those guys combined.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're right. I think he has kind of the opposite of Jamer Candelario, where, hey, even though I can't go, I want to benefit this team. I want to give advice. I want to help the development of everybody else. And those are guys you want to keep around. Those are the guys you want in your locker room. And as I said before, those are especially guys you want to have around when you have a young nucleus, a young core, and teaching these guys how to be professional MLB players.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about the Yankees series. Hey, this is like 3 weeks in a row that the Riverfront Reds Show and your show, Late Night Reds on Sunday nights, we're happy. I mean, we were talking about the peaks and valleys that Nick Krall said we would never have anymore, and we've still been having them most of this year. But these past 3 or 4 weeks, it's been good. I was reminded of, I think 2003 might have been the first time that the Yankees came to Cincinnati in interleague play, and the Reds had opened up the new stadium. I remember that series because I went down to a game, and Marty Brenneman, ESPN was doing a thing that year where on like Tuesday nights or whatever, they would have a play-by-play guy from the home team come into the booth and call part of the game on ESPN with them. So Marty got to call part of that game, one of the games down there on ESPN. And that was actually the series that they named Derek Jeter captain. So he came
Oh,
into Cincinnati playing against Barry Larkin, the longtime captain of the Reds at the time. And the Yankees named Derek Jeter captain. Well, they have a captain now named Aaron Judge, and he was pretty good this series a few times. But what a first game on Monday. The Reds win 6-1. They get 3 hits from Elly, including 3 RBI and Oppo bomb as a righty. Nearly another cycle. He hit the triple early, didn't he? That was great.
yeah.
Frieda with a pair of hits. Ty Steven Steer also had a pair. Lodolo didn't quite go long, but he went 4 and the bullpen got 4 2/3 scoreless innings. That was a good way to get the series started, wasn't it?
No doubt. I mean, after kind of not getting it done for the series in the Cardinals, you got to win these games to stay in the hunt, stay in the race. And hey, they came in. They said, "We don't care that you're the Bronx Bombers. We don't care that it's Great American Ballpark. We're going to get you out." And especially the first game, only giving up 1 solo home run to Aaron Judge. And look, if Judge is the only person that burns you, great.
It was a
because
bomb.
the entire lineup can do damage. So
Yeah,
if Judge is the only person that hurts you in that game, fantastic. And kind of moving along to the next game, being down 3 runs and showing what we saw last year or the year before, being the rally Reds coming back in the 7th with the bases clearing triple and winning that game in walk-off fashion. I mean, it doesn't get better than that at Great American Ballpark.
No, and I think CES needed that triple that they knocked in the 3 runs. Now listen, that was Chase Burns' day. Let's not skip over that.
That's true.
Struck out his first 5 batters and then struck out 6 in 2 innings. He gave up a little blooper single there in the second. 8 strikeouts overall. He did go 5 innings, gave up the 3 runs, did not figure in the decision, obviously, because the Reds tied it later. Nothing but impressed, right? I'm assuming, in my opinion, I guess, the adrenaline probably wore off just a touch and he kind of ran out of gas a little toward the end, but he still gave 5 good innings. He struck out 8 batters. And I tell you, when Aaron Judge struck out, he was looking over at him like, wow, that was pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, that was great. He deserves to be on this team, first off. I mean, every rumor you heard about this guy or everything, the comparisons, they all look true. I mean, the biggest comparison is to Paul Skeens, who, if you look at each of these guys' minor league numbers, they are pretty much a mirror of each other. They've both only spent 13 games in the minor leagues. Incredible strikeout, incredible ERA, barely walk anybody. It's incredible to see. And I think with just only having 13 games in the minor leagues, I think he's just not stretched out to go the distance in a major league game. He'll get there as the season goes on, and I hope they keep him in this rotation, because having him and Hunter Green kind of 1-2 punch on each other, that's going to be tough for anybody.
And honestly, now I don't know how much this effect has as an effect, but I think it's got to have some. If you could go like Hunter, Abbott, then Burns, like you're going righty, lefty, righty, but also you're going just heater. Then Abbott's more of a methodical type pitcher, and then you're going heater again with the good breaking stuff. I just think about that a little bit, Skylar. If you got into a short series in the postseason, and you could go Hunter, Abbott, Burns.
Oh,
a lot of dreaming.
That'd be tough.
A lot of dreaming.
That'd be tough. We saw the Yankees, who had a juggernaut lineup. They struggled against Chase Burns. Now they tagged him a bit there at the end, mainly because of a 3-run home run from Jazz Chisholm. I think he hit it.
No, that was the next night. Rice hit one. I know.
That was it.
Yeah. Hey, in that game, there's a lot of clamoring as it went along, because it did stretch to 11 innings. The Reds had their chances. A lot of clamoring on both our Slack channel and on especially Twitter and places like that for Tito to do things a little differently. We're going to have a viewer mail question about that later, so we're not skipping over it. I'll keep my thoughts till later on that. Another pair of hits from Elly. He's doing great. CES, obviously, you mentioned Steer had 2 hits, 3 hits actually in that game. And Gavin Lux came up with the big 11th inning RBI single. And of course, Elly did have a bit of a brain fart on that. Right before that, he didn't advance to third on when he should have. And then a wild pitch would have scored him ahead of Lux's RBI. But Lux got it done anyway. And in Wednesday's game, not quite as friendly. Just a wild night, and actually it was funny because they were putting up on the board all the notable debuts for the Reds. Like you had Homer Bailey, you had Mike Leake, you had Hunter Green, people like that throughout time. And honestly, Brady Singer's performance reminded me a lot of Homer Bailey's debut. I mean, so many pitches and just 5 innings was it, and he was spent. And he really didn't deserve the fate he ended up with. That was the game that the bad defense kind of returned a little bit, and they did lose that the last game when they wanted to try to get that sweep.
Yeah, I do have some concerns about some of the mental lapses or the poor defense that we've seen in this series in particular. TJ Friedel diving for a ball that he had no chance of getting.
Yeah.
Ball gets past him. Elly's not taking third, kind of forgetting what the score was. He also had a moment where throwing out a runner at home, didn't throw the ball right away, tried to check the runners first. So there are some concerns. There's some things to clean up, but you know who I like to clean that stuff up? Harry Francona. He came up with a comment after the 11th inning where he pulled Elly aside. He said, "Hey, I know we won. I know it turned out all right, but the best players in baseball don't let that happen." And Elly's response was, "It will never happen again." And that just shows that what Tito thinks of Elly, which is what we all think of him, is that he is the best player in baseball or has the potential to be the best player in baseball.
Absolutely. And MLB Network is it's a slurp fest. It's like because the Yankees came to town, they decided to watch them play a little bit. I mean, from Mark DeRosa to Brian Kinney, all these guys. But these numbers were flashed up on MLB Network through 52 games. And that includes that little stretch he had in early to mid-May when things weren't going as well. Through 52 games, he was hitting 241 with 8 home runs, a 314 on-base percentage. I didn't realize it had dipped that low because earlier in April he was doing pretty well. 399 slug and a weighted runs created plus of 91. Now, the past 27 games, he's been hitting 333, 10 home runs, a 416 on base, 747 slug, a weighted runs created plus of 206. And maybe best of all, his strikeout percentage, which was 28.8%, and that was actually down from his previous years. In these last 27 games, it's down to all the way to 19.5%.
You love that. I mean, that's all we hear is the strikeouts. He's in the bottom 10th percent in the league in chase rate.
Skylar, when he was at his worst, at his lowest point, which was after those 52 games, because like I said, that was right with his slump in the middle of it. That 28% is not great, but it's still better than I think last year and the year before. So now it's been 19.5 lately. That's just incredible. And again, if he's getting on at 416 and slugging 747, watch out. I mean, you're right. He's going to make the All-Star team. There's no doubt about that. My son brought up somebody has a power rankings of players, and he got into the top 10 this week. So again, it helps to beat the Yankees, I guess. But
sure. I think, and I think we all think that he should be a starter in the All-Star game.
Well, he should be. Have you seen, though, that basically New York Mets and Dodgers fans are just stuffing the virtual ballot box?
Mm-hmm.
And those Dodger fans are the Japanese people too, right? So
yeah, right.
That's around the world. It's just hard. I mean, it's back in the day. It used to be the places with the best attendance because it was all done from the stadiums.
Mm-hmm.
When you had your home games and stuff, and even in Cincinnati, with their bigger stadium back when they opened Riverfront, they could, with that big red machine, they could stuff that ballot box pretty good. But he's got no chance. If you look at the numbers, his numbers versus Lindor, he's so much better than him this year.
Everything
And
is, and same thing with Mookie Betts. He's better in every
yeah.
category.
And
I
Mookie
think.
missed a lot of time, but you can't beat out Lindor at shortstop right now. I
Mhm.
mean, when Lindor had over 1 million votes already, Elly only had like 350K or so. So it is what it is at this point. I don't know what we can do about it, if anything, but I will tell you, he's gonna be on the team.
I agree. I think, and you're right. I don't know if me and you can change anything. We can try, but I think they need to have it be a weighted kind of vote. So if player or fan vote is a third
Yeah,
of what
that's
gets
done in other
considered,
sports. Yeah,
right? And then players vote, and that's the third, and then coaches vote, and that's a third. And then out of those 3/3, you get
hmm
whoever is on the All-Star team, not leaving it just a
I
fan
think
vote for situations like this.
it's time. There was a time when I was a kid that I cared so much about the All-Star game, and I loved the idea that you got the fans had a vote. They used to in USA Today used to have a ballot that you could. It was just the same as the one you got at the stadiums, but you could punch
Mhm.
it and you could drop it in the mailbox and mail it for free. Like as a kid, I used to do that. And then,
Yeah.
online voting started probably when I was in college or just out of college. But it, it, with the game being more worldwide, with obviously, like I said, that the stars on the Dodgers from Japan, they've got a whole other nationality of people like chiming in on who gets to be. And the funny thing is, my son was looking at it and he was like, "Wait a minute, look at this." And Trevino's on the ballot at catcher because he started the year because Stevenson was on the injured list. And I
Yeah.
told him, I said, "Well, that's all those Yankees fans that are voting. They like Trevino still, and he's pretty high up there. Actually, he's not. I think he's what was he fourth or fifth at one point. Um,
Yeah, he got pretty far. I'd have to look now, but yeah,
and even
it's
Austin Hayes with the Orioles fans that are voting. Austin Hayes is actually pretty far up there, despite the lack of
oh,
games played. Uh, at one point, he was actually getting way more, comparably speaking, than probably he should. But
I have the thing up now. Yeah, I mean Austin Hayes is on there. He's 19th on the ballot for NL, but you know TJ Friedel isn't even on it.
mhm.
So that it just
Friedel's having
shows
an
that.
all-star year. Friedel, Elly, and Abbott need to be on that team.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. And they do still have the coaches vote, and
Mhm.
hopefully that gets a lot of these guys in that deserve it,
Yeah,
like
any
Friedel,
teams or
like
managers who've gone against TJ Friedel this year know. So hopefully it gets done. Hey, we've got a big series this weekend against San Diego. Padres come in at 44-36 going into Thursday, and that's a stiff challenge for the Reds. And obviously, I remember last year, or maybe it was even late the year before. Elly really likes Fernando Tatis, and certainly Manny Machado has some dealings with some of the Reds farm system guys like Sal Stewart, I think, trains with him in the offseason.
yep.
So it's kind of some connections there. Reds are 42-39. Former Padre Nick Martinez looks to get back on track. That was pretty amazing, Skylar. He had that short outing a week and a
Hmm.
half ago, and then he actually had 2 relief appearances in between. So they stretched him out a little bit as far as what day he's going to start, but he comes in and technically on his throw day the first time, and then hey, we're going to wait until Friday anyway. So this is my throw day again. He pitched in that first Yankee game, I believe it was when they needed some bullpen help with Lodolo only going 4 1/3. What do you expect? His ERA has gone back up for something again. Can he get back on track?
I think so. I think obviously against his former team, everybody tries to do more against their former team. I mean, look at Will Benson and the Guardians. Um, so I think he'll get better on track. But I love the idea of him being the swing guy, especially when Hunter Green gets back.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's his role. I think he thrives in that role, being able to start, make these spot starts, come in the bullpen, give long inning relief, be a little in the clutch from the bullpen. I think he thrives being the swing guy.
Yeah. When we recorded a week ago, I had the idea that I thought maybe he could piggyback with Miley. And
Yeah.
you bring up Burns at that point in pie in the sky at the time, and then all of a sudden, no, they did bring Burns up, which is great. They are really going after it right now. Big series against the Padres. Hey, big news as well. I will be at Game 1 Friday night.
Nice.
If any of you slackers out there from the Patreon group are going to be at the game as well, drop me a line, a direct message on Slack, and maybe we can say hi to each other. I got to tell you, Skylar, my wife has a job that one of her clients once a year says, "Hey, do you want Reds tickets?" And she says, "Sure." We're going to be in the diamond seats. It's going to be
Ooh, those
great.
are nice.
Oh, it's going to be real good. Last year we saw Zach Taylor. He actually had seats behind us,
Oh,
because
yeah.
that's how we rolled. Dr. Timothy Krimchek gave my son a baseball in the dining area. That was pretty cool. He just, "Hey, you want a
Nice.
ball?" "Yeah, sure. Thanks. Can I get a Tommy John?" Yeah, no, it's going to be fun, but I would love to say hi in person to any of our Patreon group that's at the game, or anybody that listens or watches as well. Just drop a line, and I'd love to say hello. What do you think? I mean, they're kind of they were a few weeks ago at a point where they kind of needed to get wins, right? I mean, obviously you want to keep on going further above 500, and you're still treading water division wise. They're closer to the Cubs and the Cardinals and the Brewers, but it's still the same order. So obviously
Mhm.
you want to keep chopping wood and get there. Do they need to go to like 2 out of 3? Is it a have to situation, do you think?
I think so because I keep bringing this up with this team struggling against teams within their division. August becomes really tough. So
Mhm.
you'd like to kind of gain some momentum in that ahead of that, give yourself some cushion, but also like right now, I have the standings pulled up. San Diego has the last wild card spot.
Yep, so you need to yep. Got to
So
make some progress there.
not only do you win and get yourself higher in your standings and everything, but every win knocks them down. So you're double. I'm not double jeopardy, but double benefiting yourself
Mhm.
by every win against the Padres at this moment.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. And certainly the NL Central is surprising a lot of the national people right now,
It is.
because basically it was, and I'll give, some of them said before the season, it's either going to be the Cubs or Reds, but you have to win the Central. You're not going to have another Central team make the wild card, because they were like, wow, you got the Mets, Phillies, and Braves in the East, and you got the Dodgers, Giants, and Diamondbacks and Padres in the West. And even though there's more wild cards now than there used to be, no Central team's going to win a wild card. Well, listen, and the funny thing is, lately I've heard two or actually I heard two. One of them's Michael Wilbon. He's a Cubs fan. It doesn't really count. He's not really a real journalist anymore. He's more of a talking head. But he's a Cubs fan, and he didn't list the Reds recently when he was talking about teams on the Cubs' heels. And
Mhm.
I was like, okay, you can sleep on the Reds a little bit, Wilbon. That's fine. But also Tim Kirchin, in a pretty serious interview recently, he also did not list the Reds, and they're right there with the Cardinals and the Brewers. And I think they've got a chance. So yeah, keep chopping wood. Take a series here, make a little bit of headway against the Padres, and maybe jump up ahead of one of the other Central teams. And then we'll have to worry about whether they can beat NL Central teams at all again when they start playing them again, because that seems to be, you called it a narrative. I think it's a fact. Like, I
It
don't
is a
think
fact.
it's they're not beating the Brewers, Cubs, or Cardinals at all. All
No,
right, let's go ahead.
and to piggyback on why every other team or every media correspondent isn't picking NL Central teams other than the Cubs, the the Brewers sold off half their team, but they're
Mhm.
still good. They develop well. They're well coached. The Cardinals had an awful year last year and then kind of sat on their hands this
Yeah.
offseason. They didn't really do anything. I mean, they added every old pitcher
Mhm.
that was still playing. They have the oldest team ever, but I mean, they're playing real well. They're playing good baseball.
Yeah, and I wonder too if they can keep this up for another, what, month or so, technically, yeah, actually, just about a month plus from the trade deadline, because Nolan Arenado turned down trades, which he had a right to
Mhm.
do. I wonder if they falter at all if they come back to him and ask him if they can ship him off somewhere. We'll see. I don't know. Um, that'll be really interesting to find out. And certainly as a Reds fan, we would like to see. I guess I kind of like to see him go, but if they don't benefit from getting any prospects either, that's fine too. I guess I don't know.
Right.
Viewer mail. It's that time of the show. Actual letters from actual viewers, as Chad Dotson used to say. I put out the bat signal. Our Patreon group, you can see on the bottom line here on the YouTube video. We have a Patreon group here. It's helping keeping this thing a rolling. And also at certain levels, and we've still got to tinker those, Skylar. Remember that. Put that into the meeting notes for the next meeting we have. We've got to tinker with the levels a little bit of the Patreon group. But basically, if you join and I get a notice that you joined, we'll get you access to our Slack channel. And if I didn't get you access yet, hit me up on Twitter or somewhere like that, and I will try to address that, because I was noticing somebody a little over a year ago, which we weren't in charge at all back then. I think somebody joined that didn't get to be in the Slack yet. So if you're out there and you'd like to be in, reach out.
And
All
I'll
right.
add, it
Yeah.
is the best form of kind of interaction in social media. It's not political. It's not kind of the garbage you see out on X. It's just Reds fans talking Reds. I mean, Cincinnati fans talking Cincinnati sports,
Mm-hmm.
because we have a hoops channel, we have a football channel, but it's just wholesome content that we all just share because we're all fans of this team.
That's right. That's right. We got to get Joe Farsing in order sometimes.
He's a cowboy.
Yeah, he knows that. He's on a cruise though, so he's living life. James Urban leads us off. James is coming with the question that I wanted to hold. We talked about earlier, the moves in the extra inning game. He says, I've seen a lot of people hating on Tito's moves of late, i.e. Espinal, and I want to know where you guys stand. And he says, personally, I forever give Tito the benefit of the doubt. He has earned it after all. Plus, look at the recent success. We are winning more games against good teams than not. Let me know what you guys think of him. Well, I love Tito, first of all. So, yeah, benefit of the doubt is automatic for me. I think you're in the same boat, Skylar. You can't pinch hit for Espinal 4 times a game.
Mhm.
And with Marte still hurt and Steer's arm probably still questionable, and Gavin Lux's range and arm may be questionable at third, there is a defensive side of the ball, which we've been complaining about also at times. Yet Espinal's the most steady, probably, infielder they have. McLean's great at second. I'm not happy either with Espinal at the plate. I'm not defending him at the plate. And yes, there are times you don't know the game's going to go 11 innings, so maybe you pinch it for him in the 8th or 9th. I get that. But I'll tell you, the other way around, the backwards of this was back in like 2002, Bob Boone would pinch run for Sean Casey in like the 8th inning if Sean Casey got a single, because Casey was not very fast. We all know that. Maybe they're down a run and he's trying to get one more run to at least tie it. And then they'd rally, or maybe they'd give up another couple runs and they'd have to rally more. And guess what? Casey's spot in the lineup came up again.
Mhm.
And you've got a slap hitting guy that's hitting 210 coming to the plate. So that's kind of that's a little different vibe, but I use that as an example to say, if you pull the trigger too early, this isn't rec ball. Espinal can't come back and play defense.
Yeah, I agree. I think the biggest piece to why Tito probably is leaving him in there is Noel V. Marte is not on this team yet. He is probably the only other competent third baseman. I mean, CES has been doing a fine job out there at third, but I mean, especially in this team and this ballpark, I mean, you got to play some sort of defense. offense.
Mm-hmm.
And Espinal's been great in the field. I mean, I don't think he might. I haven't looked, but I don't think he has an error yet this year.
Knock on some
So
wood right now, Skylar.
yeah.
No, listen, I agree with you, and I'm not. I want more than anything for Espinal to be that kind of swing player. I think you've got that in Lux. I think you have it more. So in Lux you would have it in the left-handed batter type situation. You're not really using him as a defensive guy, but you're going to put him in somewhere because you want his bat in the lineup against right-handed starters. Period. What I want out of Espinal is a guy that can play second, third, or short, corner outfield in a pinch. I think he even played first base at some point. I want that guy that can get 3 to 4 starts a week because somebody needs a night off or somebody does get banged up. I don't think it's ideal, though they are winning games, that he's your starting third baseman. I've always felt that way. And
yeah,
so
I would agree. I
if you
think
tell
he's
me
a
he's your
bench
super
guy.
utility, one of your 2 super utility guys, because you've got Lux as well, and he's getting 3 to 4 starts a week because of spelling a guy or this, that, or the other, then I think you're in a better place. And I think they're working to get back there. Marte went to his rehab assignment in double A, and hopefully we'll be returning soon. And so
Yeah,
we'll see.
I think getting Marte back changes that whole narrative for sure.
Yeah, and I don't like the whole crawl talking about how, look, we get Hunter Green and Hayes and look, those are just like trades. No, they're not. But all of a sudden you've got the lineup you thought you had.
Exactly. I think we'll finally get the lineup that we anticipated having at opening day.
And it's still an outfielder or 2 short. And that brings us to Rex Scott's question. He says, although my fellow Ohio University Bobcat Chris Garber convinced me on an earlier pod that our Reds should prioritize getting an outfielder before the trade deadline, I still feel it is crucial that we also get another pitcher based on injuries and the fact that winners have depth at that position. Who are some pitchers we should target, both starters and relievers? Did you pull some up there?
I have one.
All right.
Particularly, we need left-handed relief out of the pen.
Okay.
Boston's not doing too well this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Go get an Arnoldus Chapman back. I think.
Ooh, you are like the 3rd or 4th Riverfront Reds Show / Late Night Reds host to say that in the last 3 years.
Listen, I mean,
Daniel
that's what they
wanted him
need.
so bad. Oh yeah, that'd be great. That would be great. And I don't know, Sam Mole, right? He's not walking through that door. It doesn't seem like. Yeah, that'd be fine by me. Chapman, come back where it all started and make a run toward the playoffs like he did in 2010 when he first got called up late in the season.
And look, I mean, that's another guy that you add on your pitching staff that has gone the distance, knows what it takes to go in the playoffs, get a ring, knows high pressure, high intensity situations, especially him.
Now, one of the problems becomes because so many teams are in it with the extra wild card spots over these last couple of years, fewer teams are giving up early enough, right? So, Cleveland, maybe if they took another step or 2 back, that'd be rather fun if they got involved with their old manager somehow and he swung a deal for just the guy or 2 he really likes. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be
I'll take
interesting.
Class A.
Yeah, well, of course you would. Yeah, no doubt about that. Rex, I honestly didn't do the research yet. I was pretty busy today with some rec baseball and dodging raindrops. But I guess the biggest thing for me is I don't disagree. Certainly, as we get them closer to a deadline, and if you're right there in it, you need to be looking at that. I would prioritize at least one starting outfielder.
Still need that.
That would be my first list of things, and then I would go relief pitcher next. I don't know that this team needs more starters, although knock on wood, right? You've got to hope and hope and hope. And then honestly, like what happens too if Rhett Lauder just gets back enough and they say, you know what, Rhett, you've been out pretty much the whole year. Let's have you in August and September for a relief spot.
Yeah, I would be fine with that. I mean, especially because, like I said, with Chase Burns kind of only having 13 starts in the minor leagues, he's not stretched out to go the distance in a major league game. You know, you're going to have a guy eat some innings. Brett Lauder can definitely eat some innings, or Nick Martinez can eat some innings.
Yeah. So I think there's a few options out there. There's obviously, I mean, I didn't even know who Sam Moll was when they got him a couple years ago, and that was the only trade they made. So I'm sorry, I haven't followed the Sacramento A's as much this year, so I have to bone up on their relievers and see who they're going to get. Brandon Kamick comes with a really funny one, really funny. Brandon, he says, and I think he does. He says, "Does Paul Skeens wear Chase Burns pajamas?"
It has to. I mean, the I just love that their minor league stats are literally
Yeah,
identical.
that they really are. They're right there. Kyle Kapler says, "Favorite trade target." What is yours?
Uh, so I'm looking at Boston because they did the Devers trade.
Hmm.
Everybody's kind of looking at them at what are you doing? Right now they are 2 games under 500, still 2 games out from a wild card spot, so the door's still open. But if they do pack it in, I like some of their outfielders. Not particularly Jared Duran, but the one that I'm looking at is Wilmer Abreu. I think he's young. He's under control until 2030. So you're probably going to pay a pretty penny for him. But look, I mean, he is on right now. He has 1.8 WAR, 13 home runs, 252 batting average, and an OPS plus of 118 this year. So I mean, he's getting it. He's getting it done. He's getting done at the plate. He's got some thump in his bat to get you 13 home runs and I think he'd be a good target, and especially if you can get a package that's him and Aroldis Chapman, look out. I mean
Hmm.
that would be a swing for the fences win this year deal.
I still kind of like Cedric Mullins. I don't think he's probably going to be available, but I go back to actually, it's funny on Twitter this week. Bryce Spalding, decent follow. He comes with some good stats, things like that. He mentioned that Luis Robert is actually a rental player, and I had to pull up Spot Track to see what he's talking about. He said people need to understand that, and he's right. The club option comes into play for the next 2 years. Um, I'm trying to look up what the club option, if they turn it down, it's actually, I think it might only be 2 million. Anyway, that may be the case, but that's not how the White Sox were marketing him when they asked for the sun, the moon, and all the stars, supposedly in the offseason. So if the White Sox start to realize that this is basically a rental player, then maybe he could be had, Luis Robert, but his numbers still aren't even that great compared to some of the other players out there. So um, again, outfielders. I like your idea. Maybe one stop shopping at Red Sox Central. Man, they traded Devers, and he had a home run today. He just crushed it almost straight away in San
Hmm.
Francisco, the big part of the ballpark. So yeah, I like it. I like it. Let's see, where are we now? Joey Gaditza from Canada. He says a realistic outfield bat that they could obtain. We've been over a few there.
I think
Um,
they could get Mullins. I think that is a obtainable thing. He's a rental for the year. The Orioles are, I think they've let every team know that everybody besides Gunnar Henderson and Adley
yeah.
Rutschman are available. So I think Cedric Mullins is out there and obtainable, and probably a candidate the Reds would go for. The thing is that he's a rental, and I would want something with a little more control than just to the end of the year, because we know that this team does not like to spend in the offseason, especially on free agents, especially after this Candelario situation, the Mike Moustakas situation, I think they're going to be a little more hesitant on where they spend money. So I think they're going to be a little more aggressive on their trade market.
I just that's what makes me sad when obviously 2020 they went for it and then the COVID stuff happened and they'd gone out and spent all that money in the offseason before 20 and they just never really got back on track. But obviously the Moustakas and the Shogo and some of these other deals, they just didn't pay off. And the funny thing, Castellanos, had he had a normal 2020, he had an out after the first year. He could have just left anyway. He left after 2 years. He had an out after both the first 2 years. So they may not have reaped the benefits they did out of him having a good 2021 season. But it upsets me that if you're the one that screwed up, you signed Jeimer Candelario. That's on you, Cincinnati Reds. And then you're going to get gun shy because of that. And they have done some really good things. They've gotten some nifty little moves in here at times where, even when they got Sonny Gray, when they did, back in, what was that, 18 or 19? And I think it was in 19. Like, that move itself was genius because you get a guy you can control. And at the time to get him for $11 million a year, and then they decided that was too much also, but that's beside the point, I guess. The moves they've made over the years where they get controllable players and it's just not breaking the bank and they're still good players, that's good. It's just a little upsetting when I like Austin Hayes when he's on the field. I do. I'm not bashing him as a player, but you take a flyer on a guy for $5 million because of all he went through last year. And I know it's not the kidney issue this year necessarily, but he's having injuries this year as well. And he's off the field. I think he's only played 31 games. So, taking flyers on guys is one thing, but being really tactful in going after a guy and really doing your homework. And it's like Jeimer Candelario, I can't believe they spent that much money on him. I just can't.
This is something that Ben and I have talked about on Late Night Reds, where the difference between the Cubs and the Reds. The Cubs went and they knew exactly what they were getting when they traded for Kyle Tucker. Look how much better their team is for Kyle Tucker, or with Kyle Tucker. The Reds kind of depend on these like lottery ticket moves, like Austin Hayes, who has been good, but they weren't banking on him being good. They're taking these lottery ticket moves and hoping that they hit the jackpot on these guys, and they've had some good luck in some of those moves. But think about all our favorite players. They all came via trade that they've done their homework on. Sonny Gray, Luis Castillo. Those are two of some of my favorite players of all time. But they came in a trade had control, built these guys up, and they have way more luck in that space, or at least do their homework more in that space. I don't know what the difference is, but they seem to prosper better when they trade for guys versus their lottery ticket Austin Hayes is out there.
Well, even he who shall not be named, the trade they made to get Trevor Bauer. Yasiel Puig basically was out of the league within a month and a half. And you know what I mean? It just, but I guess two trades I wish they had made. And I was obviously don't know who they would have ever discussed. Two of the trades I wish they would have made were Kyle Tucker. But then also Christian Yelich.
Yeah. Yelich.
Could have had Christian Yelich. I guarantee they could have had him.
Brewers absolutely.
Yeah. And so, and I'll never forget, like the trade in 2002, they weren't that far out of it. And Jim Bowden had approved deals to get Scott Rowland and Bartolo Colon. And the ownership back then, which is not the current ownership, basically said, no, that would bring too much payroll, even for 2 or 3 months. Can you imagine?
That would be so fun.
And I guarantee you the players they would have given up were not the players the Indians got from the Expos.
No, not
Brady
even
Sizemore, Brandon Phillips, and Cliff Lee. I mean, come on. The Reds
Those
would
guys
have
were
given
awesome.
yeah, that was like the best trade ever for Cleveland. And the first trade they were going to do was with the Reds, and the Reds ownership turned it down. So
Ugh.
anyway, all right. Hey, good vibes this weekend. We're gonna hopefully see these Reds take 2 or 3. Skylar, you're going to have late night Reds with Ben, I believe, on Sunday night, 9 p.m.
Yep.
Eastern. Tune in on YouTube. You can get the link through Facebook, Twitter, and things like that as well. But jump in the comments. The show is so much better when those comments are humming. I like watching Skylar because he can't keep up all the time. Like,
I know. I'm like reading over here while listening to Ben, while
yeah,
like
and then like
jumping
6
around.
guys and girls talking, and all of a sudden it's like, oh no, what was that one up there? No, it's great fun. Check that out at 9 o'clock. The Welcome to the Jungle show will air sometime tomorrow afternoon, Friday afternoon. And again, I'll be at the Reds game Friday night. If you are there, give me a yell on Slack, and maybe we can come say hi. Skylar, I know we've mentioned the Patreon group. The crawl, I think you installed this for me. I appreciate it. The crawl's going by on the YouTube. Um, all our socials, Riverfront Cincy, at Riverfront Cincy. Join the Patreon group and use the code Riverfront at SeatGeek when you buy some tickets and come to the Reds game. SeatGeek code Riverfront will give you a discount of $20, I believe, right?
Yeah, I mean that's what tickets kind of cost at the Reds game sometimes. So
Yeah.
go to a game on us.
Buy your tickets. Come down and see me. We'll have a nice time watching the Reds beat the Padres. Skylar, thanks so much for joining me again on the Riverfront Reds Show. And to all you out there, thanks for tuning in. Tell a friend, pass along the mad. It's been funny. I actually sat next to Reds fans twice this week, and I'm like, hey, there's this thing called the Riverfront, and the one guy's like, oh yeah, I heard of that. I'll check you out. And then another guy's like a teacher at my son's. He's at a Minecraft coding camp, my 9-year-old. And the guy's wearing a Louisville Bats hat. And I'm like, you're a Reds fan? And he's like, yeah, I'm a Reds fan. I was like, hey, check us out. So hopefully you're out there watching as well this week. Skylar, thanks again. I appreciate you.
Yeah, anytime, Seth.
For what's his first name? Zualeta? What's that? I'm forgetting. He was only up for a game or two. For Liz Alberto Bonilla and Zulueta, we barely knew you. This has been the Riverfront Red Show. So long, everybody.